we are back finally, and this jet has been delayed for quite a long time now, but it is finally here. So today, I'll be teaching you how to fold this jet, the Tryseptico Supreme. It's one of my most complex models ever, and it's one of the most difficult variants of the Tryseptico. Anyways, let's go over the features. You can see it has a classic 2 fins holding 4, and dual air intakes, torpedo gun right there, and it has realistically modeled landing gear right there with wheels, and it has 2 missile racks right there, although there's no missiles on there right now, but I'll show you how to put them on at the end of the tutorial. So anyways, I'll show you the flight demonstration and then we can get started. All you will need in order to fold this jet is at least a 13 by 13 inch sheet of origami paper, because this model is so complex. Anyways, first off, we're going to start off with making part of the double preliminary base. So, fold it in half diagonally, like that. And I should probably have one of these around because the paper might get a bit thick. But I'm just going to put this to the side for now. And it's a bit early in the morning for me, so yeah. So you just fold that in half, and then you fold this edge to that edge, like this. Same thing on the other side. And then you just diagonally fold it in half again, like this. Just making sure everything is perfectly lined up. Okay, unfold that, turn it over, and repeat the same thing, like this. Okay, then do that again. And this is just how I make the base for Jason Merrill's A10. So yeah, and then you fold this edge to that crease right there. And I think this jet might be a master or absolute master, I think. I don't know, depends on the time. Turn it over, and then fold these 2 edges to the center crease right there. And I'm going to tell you this right now, if you're not that, sorry, if you're not that good at folding origami, then I think you should find something a bit easier to fold, because this jet is not for you if you're not good at origami. So I don't want anybody complaining to me saying, "Oh my god, Nick, this is just too hard, it's just too hard." Like, go find something else to fold if it's too hard for you. But yeah, you just fold those two edges to the center, like we just did. Open that up all the way, and then repeat the same thing, folding this edge to, it should be light by now, but to right there. That's if you're using the colored side. I think using the white side would be better, because then you can see the edge better right there. Then you know where to fold. There you go. Turn it over. Then do the same thing, folding these two edges to the center. I don't know why earlier when I was telling if it's too difficult, I was doing the 6-7. I don't know, man. Well, whatever. I don't know why I still find it funny. It's just funny. Shouldn't be funny, but it is. Okay, enough of 6-7. Unfold those all the way. And then you're gonna fold it in on these existing creases right there. And I think the paper might go a bit off frame because it's so big. Maybe next time I fold the base first with a smaller sheet of paper, and then I switch to a bigger sheet of paper, just like how Jason Merrill did in his A10 tutorial. Maybe I should do that when I fold this base. Alright, just squash that down. Turn it over, and you're just gonna pale fold this up on those existing creases right there. Then you should have something that looks kind of like this. Dang, sorry. Just clear my throat a lot. And then just squash this down again. And then there you go. You should have something like this. Now what you're gonna do is you're gonna fold this down. Gonna want to make sure you crease that good, because you're gonna want this flap to be down for the next steps. Okay, then what you're gonna do is you're gonna fold this to the center. Right here, you're gonna make sure you actually have it to the center, but you're gonna stop creasing it at, there should be like a light point right there. You're gonna stop creasing it like about there, right there. So yeah, you do not crease all the way across. You stop at that little light point right there. There should be like a light point right there, because you see, that didn't crease all the way across. So we're gonna do the same thing on this side, now that I think you should get it. And I'm assuming you're a skilled origami folder if you're watching this, so yeah. Because this jet is definitely not for beginners. Okay, now they have that. What we're gonna do next is, I like to turn to myself like this. And then you're gonna fold the creases on this flap right here that you would have used for like a rabbit ear fold. And then it should look something like this. And then do the same thing to this flap right here. But before that, we're gonna turn it over, and you should fold that flap back up, and then fold this flap down, and then do the same thing. Okay, and then when we were creasing these edges to the middle, not creasing all the way across, we're gonna do the same exact thing on this side. So take this crease, get it to the center, and then stop at that light edge right there, then crease across that specific area. Unfold, and then do the same thing here. Hey guys, maybe you should put also in the comments that maybe this would impress Jason Merrill or no. I mean, man, it's impossible to impress Jason Merrill, but I might be wrong. Okay, now that you have that, what you're gonna do is you're gonna squash this pre-pocket right here down. Carefully so there's no kinks. Fold that over. Fold that other edge over. And then you should have something like this. It's kind of like where you just pull that up. And then you do the same thing here. Okay, and then you're gonna fold these edges to the center right there. Although sometimes, for some people, it might not get all the way to the center, but if it doesn't get all the way to the center, then that means you did something wrong. Because mine goes all the way to the center, which means I was doing the steps right. So if you didn't get to the center with these creases, then you did something wrong. You're gonna have to try the plane again. Or you can keep going. It's just that the plane might not be perfect, but that's up to you. Okay, turn it over, and they're gonna do the same thing. Make sure that gets to the center. This too. And then it should look something like this. But for now, we're going to unfold those, actually. And then we're going to squash this flap down right here. Although, we are not folding a double preliminary base. We're folding, I don't know what it's called. I think it's called a bird base for Jason Merrill's 810. But there you go, you have that. And then you're going to fold these creases to the center, but on all the other sides that you haven't yet. Like this side. Just do the same thing. Soon, the paper might start getting a bit thick. Especially if you're using foil paper. Because, I mean, almost any paper can suit this as long as it's strong and thin. That's for like if you want to actually good flight model that can fly super far. Because as for this one, it can still fly, but not as far. It's kind of like an indoor plane. But hey, I still like it. And they're going to keep that folded. Fold those two edges in. And then just keep doing that. Make sure to remove any kinks. Okay, then you're gonna have to crease all that good, because you might need those creases later. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna pedal fold this in like that. And then you're gonna repeat that again. Like that. And it looks like you have a preliminary fold, but really, it's not. Alright, then you're gonna unfold almost all the creases you did right there. Make sure all those little flaps you fold into the center are unfolded. Like that. And then with those creases you pedal folded in, you're gonna go in here. You're gonna take that out like that. And then looking at it right here, there should be two creases right here that go diagonal directions. You're gonna pinch on those creases, make them mountain folds. Try to get as perfect as you can. Get it to a point, I mean. And then just try to fold it back in. Then you should have something like this. It's a pretty tricky fold, to be honest. But once you start getting the fold, then it'll become easy. But you're gonna have to repeat that on all three other sides. So you just do the same thing. Just take this out right here. Like that. And then again on this side. And then here too. Well, obviously. And try not to tear the paper, because that won't be good for your plane. And then it should have the shape of a 5-pointed preliminary base, kind of like for the SU-57. Well, there you have it then. Okay, and then what you're gonna do is fold this flap up. Make sure those edges go to a point. And then with these two flaps and this little triangle right there, you're soon gonna squash this triangle right here into a little square. So what you're gonna do here is fold this other flap up. So you can focus on folding those layers up. Okay, and then you just fold those layers up. But you're going to want to fold those up really good, because you're going to need those creases later. Let me just get this started real quick. And then you can use like your stone or something here, because right now is a really good time to use this, because this is kind of a thick crease if you're using this type of paper. I'll put it in the pinned comment if you want to see what paper I use for this. Man, I'm already getting some voice cracks. But it's just puberty, guys. I'm going through puberty. Going through puberty, I meant. Puberty, I meant. I keep stuttering, man. Why? Okay. And then unfold those and do the same thing on the other side as well, because we need to have that crease on both sides. Okay, there you have that. You're gonna fold those flaps back down. Fold that back down. And then you have two of these flaps right here. You're gonna fold this to pretty much right there. Same thing on this side. Just make it equal. Okay, here comes a very, very tricky step. You're gonna love this part. So what we're gonna do is unfold literally everything. Oh, well, partially unfold everything. And then here comes where you have to squash the little square right there. So try to get that started right there. And just shape it. And then the paper's gonna want to fight you here, so be careful. And then just make these mound folds back up. Some people might tear the paper in this step, which is why this makes this step kind of difficult a bit. And then you're gonna get started on squashing these flaps down. It's a really, really tricky fold. What I would do is I would make sure those are points right there. And make sure it's kind of like getting started right there, like this. And I would turn it over. Then try to flatten the points right here as much as you're able to currently. And try to do it on the other side as well. You're gonna have to bear with me a bit because this is a bit of a tricky step, but it's still possible. You just have to get the creases down. There you go. Now we're starting to finally get it. You're going to want to fold those creases down as well. And then, once you're finally all the way done with that, you should have something like this. Just try to get it perfectly lined up, because we're going to need this lined up. So you can do a bit of adjustments to this. Because usually with my planes, it's okay to do some adjustments. Ugh, dang it. Can't even pronounce it right. Ah! But you know what I mean. But if you make too many adjustments, then it might not go good for you. But it's okay to make a few. Okay, there you have that. Make sure those flaps are down like that. And then you're going to turn it over. And now you're going to see that square right there is squashed down. And this is also why I said use at least a 13-inch sheet of paper, because all that would happen is it would just become a smaller square sheet of paper. But there you have it then. Alright, then we're gonna do here is you're gonna fold those two edges like that, those triangular edges. And then you're gonna form a triangle right there as a crease, and then pell fold it, removing a kink. And it should look kind of like this right there. Okay, and then do the same thing here. Yep. Just like that. Okay. And then you're gonna fold these two edges to the center like this. Okay, unfold that. Do the same thing here. And then you're just gonna collapse this in like this. Although there's gonna be little edges right there that are gonna wanna be up, so we're gonna have to flatten them later. But soon we're gonna do something with them. But just as of right now, just squash these down. Okay, then just flatten those flaps down. Those little flaps at the front. Okay, now it's a bit thick here at this point, I think. So it's a good time to use a stone or something to flatten everything out. Although it may still not lay flat, but that's fine. And then what you're gonna do is go under here, and then squash those layers right there. And then you should have something like this. Sorry, had to cough right there. Okay, now here comes another kind of difficult step. So you're here, and then you see how it does this. Gonna unfold that, go to a point. And this is my first time teaching somebody how to do this, so it's gonna be a bit tricky, even for me. So you try to take this out, and this might be a bit long for me to deal with. Oh yeah, fold that up too, because you're gonna need that. The only reason I'm clearing my throat so much is I just ate cereal, and usually milk does that to my throat. And then as for this plane, it should be something like this. And then do the same thing here. Take that out. Make sure that comes to a point. Oh, dang it. I almost ripped the paper right there, but that's fine, because it didn't rip. Usually what I do is just get that started right there. Oh man. Oh man. Okay, and they should have something like this. Even mine isn't perfect, but that's fine. It's a pretty tricky fold. It's really tricky. Okay, and then what you're gonna do here is you're gonna go in here in this flap. This is a pretty satisfying fold in my opinion. Okay, so you're just gonna take those two flaps right there, and then spread squash. Man, I love this fold so much. It's just so satisfying. All right. There we go. There we go. All right, perfect. What is wrong with me, man? Like, what is wrong with me? There you go. It looks like that. And then I think that'll be, I don't know, that will be what like here would look like. It's just that those edges might be folded in a bit. So yeah. And then the next thing you're gonna do, you're gonna turn it over. Use the existing creases here. Like that. And then you're gonna like make this crease right there like this, and then it goes all the way across there to a point right there. It should look something like this. Then you're gonna do the same thing here. You're gonna squash this down, and then you're gonna make the fold that goes across to the point. And that should look something like this. And there you go. That is the base we will be using for the Tryseptico Supreme. And yep, this will be turned into this right here. So we've gone through the hard stuff. Now let's get to the good stuff, although it will still be hard. Okay, I had to turn off 4K and 60 FPS because they used up way too much FPS on my phone. So I think I might as well just zoom in a bit right here, so you can see it. Maybe just a little bit more out. There we go. Okay, now like I said, let's get to the good stuff. Let's follow the main shape of the wings. So to do that, we're gonna use this edge right here and fold it out. Try to get as far as you are able to. Maybe something like this. Or actually, wait, no. First, what you gotta do is make the cockpit. Sorry. Just silly. But yeah, to make the cockpit, you're just making this into a pedal fold. And then, hold on, why is this like that? Wait. Not supposed to be like that. There we go. And then you're gonna fold this up a little bit like that. Then fold that over like this. Take that hidden layer out. First, fold this over. And then here comes a bit of a tricky step if at a pencil, because you're gonna need like some type of utensil if you want this, or some tweezers. But I'm gonna use a pencil. So then you put your pencil inside there, squash it down, and then pedal fold it up. I should zoom in a bit. But yeah, and then, oh sorry, Mr. Shaky Camera. Just try to complete the fold right there. It's kind of hard to do this without blocking it. But then you should have something like that. All right. There we go. All right, what do we do here? Okay. You're gonna fold this up so we can make the landing gear later. That's for the front strut. And then we're gonna make the pre-layout for the fins. So we're gonna fold this out right here. And then here, try to eye it out a bit here. Then it should look something like this. Okay. And then what you're gonna do next is try to use these for the wings. Or actually, no, we're gonna make landing gear. So as for the front strut, what you're gonna want to do right here to make like something like this, right here, is we're gonna, well, first off, we're gonna end it with something like this. Like, we're gonna have to do all this to turn this into that. As you can see, yes, it's obviously just folded up. Man, I'm starting to forget some stuff already. Whatever, man, let's just do it. Alright. And then we're gonna make the landing gear. So you just fold that up. And then fold this back down like this. So it comes to a point right there. Okay, I have to record on 30 FPS and HD resolution because a 4K video took up a lot of my storage. Anyways, now what we're gonna have to do is you're supposed to go here and then open this up a bit and fold it in a little. They should have something like this, and then you're gonna like form two little layers here. You fold that back, and then you fold this behind more, right there. Then when you stand that up, that's your first set of fins that you can see right there. So yeah. And then you're gonna do the same thing on the other side, just try to eye it out. So yeah, you just open it up, fold this back a bit. Try to eye it out so that it's equal. And then there you go. That's the two fins. Then as for the landing gear, first all we're going to do is you're going to fold this down a bit because it was a bit too long up there. And then fold it back up to the top. And then what you're going to do is a bit of a confusing step for some people. So then you go in here. And then like you fold this back but then also fold it back in. But what you're gonna do is we're making a realistically modeled piece of landing gear or strut. So then you fold it back in like that. And then to make it a bit more circular, you're gonna fold that little triangle in a little bit. So then you just do that. Defold it in. Pinch it up. Might take a bit to get to this. And then just try to police that there so that stays in shape. And just shape the strut till you're satisfied and adjust it. And then there you go. That's one of the landing gear struts. For now, you're just gonna leave that flattened there like that. And this at the front here is gonna turn to the torpedo gun right there. So then for the other two struts, it's gonna be a little bit different. So first off, what you're gonna do is use the existing crease to help you. You're gonna fold this and sew it there. Sorry, I'm starting to forget some stuff, so we might fold this in a different way, but whatever. But then you do that on the same side, on the other side, the same thing. But yeah, like that. And then you're gonna try to fold this in. And then do it completely. So then it should look something like this. Then you're gonna do the same thing on the other side. Fold that all the way in. Like that. Just trying to make sure I get it correct here. Something's not right. It should be yellow on both sides. In that case, if it's not yellow or the color you have, then just do that. And then you can fold it back in. And then that will be the format of your two other landing gear struts right there. So then what you do with these is kind of the same thing you did with the front strut, just a little different. Because you do take these out right here. But instead you shape them and try to pinch around the layers to make it circular. And then you try to make it face towards you when you're having the paper like that. Just keep shaping the strut so it's a bit round. Like something like that is good. And then you do the same thing on this side. Just a bit, just bear with me for a second. And plus, you know what to do. You're just trying to do the same thing you did here on this side. Because the wheels sometimes can take unnecessarily long. There we go. Okay. And then once you have that, you just try to fold it down more, then try to make it round. And shape the strut there. Although it's my first time designing my own plane with wheels, so it might not look the best. Okay, and then that'll be your landing gear struts. As you can see, it's realistically modeled like that. For now, we're just gonna try to flatten these down and not mess things up. Or you know what, just pretend they don't even exist right now. We'll form them back up later. So now we're gonna fold the wings. So first off, we're gonna do is fold those back out right here. And then fold the wings. Then you can finally fold the wings. Or just make a pre-crease for the wings. Like something like this. Never mind, actually. You actually fold these in because you don't need these. We're not making front exhausts. Sorry, I'm just starting to forget steps here because it's my fault I didn't record this tutorial before. And usually I forget it between like the first few days. And also you should fold these layers back a bit. So then it looks something like that. And this one too. Same thing on the other side. Then as for these greases right here, you're just gonna take them and spread squash them. Then they look like that. Same thing with this other layer here. Take it and spread squash. Might be a bit tricky, but still possible to get. Alright, so then for the wings, pull that in and then back out. Make sure that layer is fully back out. Then try to get the wing, although it's a bit difficult. Then it should look something like that. Then you do the same thing on the other side. Like here. It's a bit difficult, but still possible. All right, finally, and then it should look something like this. And then to like make some reinforced layers right here, you're just gonna fold this in here. Both sides. And then when you pinch that, that's going to be the torpedo gun. Okay, and then just do that here too. And then where your missile racks come from, right there, is that you have to do this. So first off, you have to make a little squash fold right there, and then you can pedal fold it forward here. Zoom in. So then right here, you can pedal fold it forward. So then that's your missile rack right there. Your missile rack should look something like that. And then you're gonna do the same thing on the other side. Sorry, it's just taking a bit long for me because I didn't get a pencil. And really I only have one right here. Alright, that's where your missile racks come from. And then for your intakes, you're gonna pull this out right here. And it's gonna shift the landing gear here a bit, but that's what you have to do if you want the air intakes. And it's gonna get a bit wrinkly here. We'll just try to, but when we fully jet fold the plane and shape this more, then that'll go away. But for now, just keep it like that. I know it looks ugly, but it's what we have to do as of right now. And try to do the same thing here. Take that piece of paper out of there. Fold it down. And then it's going to become the air intake. And then for the wings to be a bit less fat and more like this, you're just going to fold this layer right here in a bit. Like something like that. And the landing gear might get a bit funky, but we can always just shape it back. And I'm sorry, but the reason why I'm not talking as much sometimes in these tutorials is I am just losing my freaking sanity while recording these videos. Man, now I have to figure out how I did this again. Okay, never mind. So then it should look something like this. We are almost done with this plane. Although, as for the torpedo gun, really what you do for a torpedo gun is all you have to do is just pinch it like that. But first off, we're going to jet fold the plane, form the dual air intakes, and then I'll show you how to do the torpedo gun. And then I'll show you how to put on the missile racks, the Los Trysepticos. Because the Los Trysepticos is what you're going to need for this. Alright, so now that we've done all of this, jet fold it, finally. Although jet folding this thing is quite a challenge, so get prepared. I think I'll just zoom out of it. There you go. Okay. We're getting there. Now, so right now, don't worry about the landing gear. We can always shape that back. Just worry about jet folding the plane and folding the wings. Okay, now you can check if the landing gear is bad or anything and reshape it. Okay, stand the tail fins up right here. And then as for the locking mechanism, what you want to do here is, you see these two little edges here? Just fold them in as much as you can. Like something, I don't know if you can see it, but like that is good. That right there. And yeah, that's where you're gonna be holding your plane. Okay, now the last thing we're gonna do here is just a dual air intake. So you see here in that pocket right there, that's a dual air intake, and that's another dual air intake. So you just put your finger in there, shape it around, Same thing here. Okay, now just shape this thing till you're satisfied, but other than that, congratulations! You have made the Tryseptico Supreme! What an achievement, man. Great job. Now, let me just find some missiles real quick for this thing, and I'll show you how to attach the missiles on it. Okay, so we have a Tryseptico Supreme here. I forgot to say, pinch the torpedo gun. Pinch it so you can make the torpedo gun. So, this is an example of a big version of Los Trysepticos. And this is a small version of Los Trysepticos for the jet. So, but first off, I'm going to explain to you what I'm going to do. So, I have Los Trysepticos. I go here, and I open up both layers here. And then, with the layers, I slide the missile rack layers inside of here. Like, you can see what I mean? So then, I'll do the same thing with the small version of this. So, you definitely are not going to be able to see it, I think. But I just open up the layers here. And slide it in here. Just put the layers in. Although it's going to be a bit tricky because it's kind of hard to get the missile racks on. Okay. And then once you have that, you're just going to fold it back in again. The missile rack. Stand the mini fins up. And then there you go. You have a Los Trysepticos on your Tryseptico Supreme. Now let me just fold another missile real quick. Okay. Then you have your two missiles. That is a truly finished Tryseptico Supreme. And I have nothing else to say other than congratulations. As a recap on the Tryseptico trilogy, the one that started it all is the original Tryseptico, with the classic 2 fins holding 4 others, 4 air intakes, reinforced wings, and a reinforced fuselage. So yeah, this is the original Tryseptico right here. This is the one that gave me all the ideas to make Tryseptico Absolute and the Tryseptico Supreme. So yeah, there's the original Tryseptico. I'm gonna just get this thing out of the way. And then as for the Tryseptico Absolute, this is kind of like a better version of the Tryseptico. It has a really reinforced nose section and some landing gear as well. As you can see, the wings are also shaped in a specific way. Sorry, that's just background music on my TV, but whatever. And yeah, although this thing is a bit hard to stand up. Oh yeah, it stand at that time. But yeah. But then as for the Tryseptico Supreme, just a quick recap on the features. It has 2 fins holding 4 others in one, color change cockpit, 2 missile racks, torpedo gun, dual air intakes, landing gear that is realistically modeled, and reinforced wings, and that's it. There you have it then. That's a finished Tryseptico Supreme. And just shape it till you're satisfied. But other than that, thank you for folding with me. Bye-bye.